International Public Sector Accounting Standard 8, or IPSAS 8, is a crucial rule for governments. It deals with how public sector organizations report their interests in joint ventures. A joint venture is when two or more parties work together on a project and share control. This standard is not just a technical guideline. It is a tool for honesty and clarity in public finance. It makes sure that governments show their true financial position when they partner with other entities. This is very important for countries like Pakistan, where public-private partnerships are common. Without a clear standard, it is difficult to see the real risks and rewards of these ventures. The main job of IPSAS 8 is to bring transparency. It requires government bodies to report their share of the assets, liabilities, income, and expenses of any joint venture they are part of. This is a big change from older methods. Before, these details were often hidden or not fully disclosed in financial reports. This lack of information created a gap in public understanding. Citizens and oversight bodies could not get a complete picture of the government's financial commitments. Adopting IPSAS 8 means these details must be made public. It forces accountability and ensures that decisions are based on complete and accurate information. In Pakistan's public sector, this standard has massive implications. Many large-scale projects, especially in energy, infrastructure, and telecommunications, are run as joint ventures. These projects involve huge amounts of public money and resources. IPSAS 8 ensures that the government's involvement is properly recorded. It tells us not just about the money invested, but also about the long-term responsibilities and potential financial burdens. This helps policymakers make better, more informed decisions. It also allows the public to hold the government accountable for how their money is being managed in these large and complex projects. Why does this matter today, on August 5th, 2025? Pakistan's economy faces many challenges. Better financial management is not just a good idea, it is a necessity. Clear and transparent accounting builds trust with international lenders and investors. It shows that Pakistan is serious about improving its governance. By adopting standards like IPSAS 8, the country can improve its financial credibility on the global stage. This can lead to better investment, lower borrowing costs, and a more stable economic future for everyone. The journey towards financial reform is long, but adopting this standard is a critical and powerful first step. Pakistan's public sector is deeply involved in joint ventures across many critical areas. Think about the energy sector. Many power plants and exploration projects are partnerships between government entities and private companies, both local and international. These ventures are essential for meeting the country's growing energy needs. Similarly, in infrastructure, major projects like motorways, ports, and special economic zones are often developed through joint arrangements. These partnerships bring in much-needed capital and expertise. However, they also create complex financial relationships that need to be managed carefully and transparently. The current accounting practices in many Pakistani public sector organizations do not fully capture the details of these joint ventures. Often, only the initial investment is recorded, while the ongoing share of profits, losses, and liabilities remains unclear in public financial statements. This creates a significant information gap. For example, if a government-owned entity is part of a joint venture that takes on a large loan, that liability might not be clearly reflected in the government's own books. This hidden risk can become a major problem later on, surprising both policymakers and the public with unexpected financial burdens. Adopting IPSAS 8 would fundamentally change this situation. It would force public sector entities to report their share of everything within the joint venture. This includes not just cash and equipment, but also long-term debts and future commitments. For a project like the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, where many initiatives are structured as joint ventures, this level of detail is vital. It would provide a much clearer picture of the financial health and obligations of the entities involved. This transparency is crucial for effective oversight by bodies like the Public Accounts Committee and the Auditor General of Pakistan. Without this standard, accountability suffers. It becomes very difficult to assess the true performance of these joint ventures. Are they profitable? Are they managing their debts well? Are they delivering the promised public benefits? Without the detailed reporting required by IPSAS 8, these questions are hard to answer. The public is left in the dark about how billions of rupees in public resources are being managed. This lack of clarity can also create opportunities for mismanagement and corruption. Implementing Ipsas 8 is therefore not just an accounting upgrade, it is a powerful anti-corruption and good governance tool. To understand how to implement such a major reform, Pakistan can look at a successful regional example, Saudi Arabia. The kingdom recently completed its transition to accrual-based Ipsas across its public sector, a key milestone in its Vision 2030 plan. This was not a simple technical exercise. It was a massive national project that required a complete shift in financial culture. The lessons from Saudi Arabia's journey offer a practical and relevant blueprint for Pakistan. Their success shows that with the right strategy, even the most complex public finance systems can be transformed for the better. One of the most important lessons from the Saudi experience was the need for high-level commitment. The change was driven from the very top, with strong and visible support from the Ministry of Finance and the country's leadership. This sent a clear message to all government departments that this reform was a national priority. In Pakistan, a similar commitment from the Prime Minister's office and the Ministry of Finance would be essential. Without this leadership, any attempt at reform could get stuck in bureaucracy and resistance. Strong leadership ensures that resources are allocated and that all parts of the government work together towards the same goal. Another key element of Saudi Arabia's success was its focus on capacity building and change management. They understood that you cannot just issue a new rule and expect people to follow it. They invested heavily in training thousands of public sector employees through institutions like their Financial Skills Center. This helped overcome resistance, which often comes from a lack of knowledge or a fear of the unknown. Pakistan must plan for a similar investment in its people. Training programs for accountants, auditors, and financial managers across the country would be needed to build the skills required to implement Ipsas 8 effectively. Finally, the Saudi model used stakeholder engagement and public recognition to build momentum. They worked with international bodies like the Ipsas to ensure their approach was world-class. They also created a system to motivate government entities by publicly recognizing and awarding those that made the most progress in the transition. This created a sense of healthy competition and celebrated success. Pakistan could adopt a similar strategy, engaging with provincial governments, public sector corporations, and audit bodies. Celebrating milestones and recognizing champions of reform would help build and sustain the political will needed for this long-term project. For Pakistan to successfully adopt Ipsas 8, a clear and strategic roadmap is essential. The first step must be to establish a high-level steering committee. This committee should be led by the Ministry of Finance and include representatives from the Auditor General's Office, provincial finance departments, and key public sector corporations. Its mandate would be to oversee the entire transition process, set realistic timelines, and ensure that the project receives the political backing it needs to succeed. This centralized leadership is crucial for coordinating a change of this scale and ensuring that everyone is moving in the same direction. The second step is to conduct a comprehensive gap analysis. We need to understand the difference between current accounting practices in Pakistan's public sector and the requirements of Ipsas 8. This analysis will identify the specific challenges, from outdated IT systems to a lack of trained personnel. Based on this analysis, a detailed action plan can be developed. This plan should outline the necessary legal and regulatory changes, the technology upgrades required, and the budget for the entire transition. A thorough plan will prevent surprises and ensure a smooth and orderly implementation process across all levels of government. Third, a massive capacity building program must be launched. This goes beyond one-time workshops. It means integrating Ipsas into the curriculum of accounting and public administration schools. It means creating dedicated training modules for existing government employees. The goal is to build a sustainable pool of professionals who understand and can apply these international standards. This investment in human capital is perhaps the most critical part of the roadmap. Without skilled people to implement the new rules, the reform will exist only on paper. We must empower our public financial managers with the knowledge they need. Finally, the implementation should be phased and managed carefully. it might be wise to start with a pilot program in a few key federal ministries or large public sector enterprises. The lessons learned from this pilot can then be used to refine the approach before a nationwide rollout. Throughout the process, communication is key. The government must communicate the benefits of the reform to the public and other stakeholders to build support and manage expectations. By following this structured roadmap, strong leadership, careful planning, investing in people, and a phased rollout, Pakistan can successfully adopt Ipsas 8 and take a major step towards a more transparent, accountable, and prosperous future.